Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Heart-Based Business Show. I am delighted that you are here with me. And I just have a fabulous guest. I know you're going to just absolutely love her because she's got the most interesting topic, one that I haven't addressed before. And I always love having somebody that I haven't had a chance to interview before with a topic that I've never spoken on before. And it's going to be really interesting because it's all about attention in the mainstream and how to work with attention and what happens if we don't get the attention we require as a child. So hang tight. I'll be right back with you. Hi, and welcome back. And today, as I said, we are talking about attention. And this is going to be a really different perspective than what you might think. Because, usually we just think, attention, kids, wow, I want attention all the time. My dog wants attention. Everybody wants our attention. But we really don't think about the meaning of what attention is and how it affects us over our lifetime. Some people have been told that they were to be seen and not heard. They didn't get any attention at all. And a lot of them I treat in my transformation treatment because they were seen and not heard. They had no ability to offer an opinion, and they didn't get the attention that they really needed. And so that's why we're going to talk about that today. And my guest has been in the world of attention for 25 years, and she's been researching, writing, and speaking about the attention factor and the vital role it plays in our business, the social world we live in, and our personal lives. And she's written several books, including Attention, Secrets for Making It in College and Beyond, and the Attention Factor Workbook, as well as providing workshops for CEOs, healthcare professionals, justice legal groups, fitness venues, and Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood on PBS. But she's created and co-created the Emmy-nominated documentary Latchkey Kids, narrated by the legendary Superman. You know who that is, right? Christopher Reeves. And she was appointed twice by the California State Senate to two prominent state commissions, addressed 2,000 TV program executives in Las Vegas. So let's not waste any more time. I'd like to introduce you to Alice Aspen March, and she says, the kind of attention we get is the root cause of our feelings and behavior. Alice, welcome to the show. I'm delighted that you're here with me.
Thank you. That was a very nice introduction, Shirley.
I'm glad.
I have to place myself in the square.
Yeah, you're getting the hang of it. So, Alice, do our audience a favor and tell us what made you decide that attention is a good topic to teach.
Well, my big subject, Shirley. I don't know if I can do it but anyway, because it affected me personally. I knew nothing about attention because we never got any. Did anybody ever ask you what kind of attention you'd like? When I give one of my speeches and I'm in a kind of a funny mood, I'll go and I'll say, okay, how many of you guys have gotten the kind of attention you needed? They laugh. I said, today, not yesterday, but today. They laugh. Attention is our primary core need. Everybody needs it. It doesn't matter if you're young, old, rich, poor, what color you are, if you're thin, fat, our primary need is for attention. And when I say attention, I mean being included, being listened to, being supported, being touched appropriately, all the things that we need. Orphans in orphanages, they are clothed and they're given food and they're clothed. I said that already. They're taken care of, but they don't get cuddly. They don't get cuddled. Nobody talks to them really, and they die. They die in orphanages. So I'll tell you what happened. I was running a nonprofit organization in Los Angeles, which was the capital of the TV world at that time. I don't know how I even got there. Well, I do. My youngest son went from heavy television viewing, which nobody was talking about. Nobody was talking about television at that time, to using drugs. And he wasn't a druggie, wasn't an addict, but he was using some. He was 13 years old. And I was terrified because in Los Angeles, these kids were overdosing. So I had a friend in Washington who called me up one day and said, Alice, will you do a brunch for the media reform people in Los Angeles? And he says, we'll pay you. I was a single mother at that time. I said, okay, sure. And he invited all the people and I cooked. And I sat around afterwards and I listened to them. And the people who were there did not see themselves on television, didn't relate to anything on television, and were pretty angry. And I understood that. Children's television was terrible. Well, I don't want to go into all this, but I became a zealot. That's what I did. Because one of my jobs was to go into all the owned and operated, the biggies in Los Angeles, CBS, NBC, and ABC, and look at how they were handling their federal guidelines, and they weren't. And one group smoked us to death, put us in a room and smoked us to death. And a lot of them, they didn't care how much, they didn't care what went into kids' eyes or ears. And that bothered me a lot. And I stood on the street corner in Los Angeles in the fall. It was a gorgeous day. I'll never forget it. At this time, I had a following. I had 125 members because I got some good press because it was so unusual what I was doing. And I said, they're really evil. They don't care what our kids are learning. And from the time the TV is on, it's teaching. I forgot the question. But anyway, I am still a zealot. And I did that for 4.5 years and I created some. Anyway, I did a good job. And then all of a sudden, I recognized what was going on with my younger son. And we had done a needs assessment at one point in time at UCLA. And when I went for my first bout of therapy, I mean, I think everybody should go to therapy because our childhoods are so crazy. The good man asked me, he said to me, Alice, what do you need? I didn't even understand the question. I said, what do you mean, what do I need? It turned out that I had all my mother's needs. I didn't have any of my own. So uh, I had a boyfriend at that time, and he said to me, I want you to go to UCLA and take this course with me because you'll love the guy and he'll love you. I was doing stuff in Los Angeles that nobody else was doing. I don't know how I knew how to do it. I really cared. That's how I knew how to do it. And we went to UCLA, and the name of the course was The Obstacles to Intimacy. And he was talking at that time about Harry Harlow's monkey experiment when he took baby monkeys away from their mothers and put them in cages. And he had two monkeys, two wire monkeys, and one was covered with terry cloth. I'm moving so. Anyway, covered in terry cloth, and the other wire monkey, had a baby bottle. And the monkeys only went over to the baby bottle when they were hungry. The rest of the time they hung on the terry cloth. And this is what he said. He said, when baby monkeys don't get the kind of attention they need, they wither away, they distance, they disconnect, and they automatically die. And I must have thought that was very interesting because during the next week I had an epiphany. my first and last, and it had one word: attention. I was looking for the reason why my youngest son was using drugs. We didn't use any drugs with my other two. I don't use any drugs. I talked about drugs, but there was no role modeling for drugs, and I was scared because this was too much. Anyway, I knew that that epiphany was a clue. So I had already looked at a lot of books, but all of a sudden I was looking for attention. And I looked in the back of 70 books, and the word never appeared. I couldn't believe it. The only way it showed up was with ADHD and ADD. And I knew then, because when I was looking for research, I saw bunches of places. Oh, I've skipped the whole thing. I was reading a book by the name of, the title is Love, Medicine, and Miracles. And I can't remember his name. I got so much in my head, and you've asked me this big question. Anyway, I stopped on a page. I don't know why I stopped on page, but I did. And this was what I read. The female surgeon it was Friday afternoon, and she was talking to her Tuesday morning patient. He had a tumor, and she was going to work on it. And she said to him, I want to be totally up to date with what I'm going to do on Tuesday. I want you to come in Monday morning and have a no x-ray. Would you do that for me? And he said, sure. And then it was Friday afternoon, late in the day. She didn't have her hand on the doorknob ready to go out. And they just chatted. And he was sitting in her office, and she came in and she said, thank you for coming in and having another x-ray because I see different things. And he said, you what? And she said, yes, your tumor has changed. And it's in a different place. It's moved, but it's changed. It's smaller. And she said to him, I don't know why. And he said, I do. Because when I was here on Friday afternoon and we were talking so much, I felt safe with you. I felt I was going to be okay and that you really cared about me.
Mm.
And that's what attention is. And I was off and researching like a crazy person because that's what I was looking for. And that's what I found. I'll just tell you one story. There was a man named Ozzie Neal. He lived in a suburb of Atlanta. Poverty level black kid going to a very poverty ridden school. But he was a good kid. He was he acted out. He called his teacher by her first name, but they liked him. And he was a non reader. That was how he acted out. So one day, his teacher, his homeroom teacher, is in the library because that's her other job. So she's just hanging out, and he comes in. Ozzie Neal, he's 13 about, and he comes in, and he goes right to a shelf, and he's looking at a group of books that are written by a black man, and he sees a woman on the cover, and he starts reading it, and he can't go and check it out the usual way because all his girlfriends are volunteers in the library, and they check the library books out, and he doesn't want anybody to know that he's going to take this book and read it. So he puts it in his jacket. She watches the whole thing. The teacher watches the whole thing, and he leaves. And she says to him, "Okay, if he likes this book, he's going to be back in next Friday, and he's going to want another book." This story is just so wonderful. She does that 5 times. She drives into Atlanta, finds 5 more books by this black author, and he comes in every Friday and he puts his book back, and then he takes another one. By the end of this time, he's reading everything because he's really a smart guy. Well, and this is where I get goosebumps. Today, Ozzie Neal is as close to a federal judge as you can get. And his daughter has her PhD and she's running a nonprofit organization in Atlanta.
Hmm.
Person, one person made such a difference in two generations of people. And that's what I was looking for. And I have stories you can't believe. That's all it took. And she didn't know what she was doing. She just had an intuitive hit that if he likes this book, he's going to turn into a reader. I'll tell you another one, another teacher. Teachers can do this like very easily. Uh, a black boy again, big, tall, strapping guy who was quite unhappy because he had to live in a trailer park and it was a very small physical place and he was short tempered and he used to hum all the time and she was aware of that fact. And he picked up the, the his table and threw it at the teacher. And the headline I picked up was from juvie, because he was put in juvie, to the Met, the Metropolitan Opera. This is his story. The teacher, the teacher's husband was the next grade teacher, and he was the music teacher. And this young guy, I can't remember his name. You can look up the headline because it's all over the place. Um, was in juvie and was allowed back because he had a really good record. And so the teacher said, um, "You like to hum, don't you?" And he said, "Yeah, I do like to hum." And he says, "Well, we're really happy to have you in this music class." And the class went to the Metropolitan one day as they take them to visit places, so they'll have an idea of what's going on in the world. And after this lady stood up and sang her song at the Met, he stood up. And he said, "I'm going to sing at the Met someday." Well, he proceeded to go through school, college, won every award that he could in the music world, and now lives in Vienna and is married. He's attached to the Vietnamese opera, and 2 summers ago he came and sang at the Met. And
Wow.
who do you think was in the audience? The lady who sang at the Met when he was there, all his teachers who helped him. It's just, I've got goosebumps because I know now, I've done this for 30 years. I know what it takes to have people thrive. And I also know what happens when people do not get the kind of attention they need.
So, Alice, tell us, give us an example of who we might know that exhibits negative behavior as a result of lack of attention during childhood.
Well, surely that's a loaded question. It's very sad right now for me to have to answer this, really, because the President of the United States is a work in progress of someone who never got the kind of attention he needed. And you can watch his behavior today, and that is what happens. If you don't get the kind of attention you need, you have to act out. Valuable, we don't feel heard, we don't feel that our parents care about us. We're empty. There's a hole in our bodies because we can feel attention. Attention is an energy. And that's why it's in our bodies, and that's why I've named my work The Attention Factor. Do you know people that you don't want to be with anymore, that they don't make you feel good?
A lot of people, I just stay away from them.
That's right. Well, that's good mental health.
Yeah.
But we all have those people. And we can't blame our parents for this anymore because they never got the attention they needed either. And so, best not to blame them, but find out first what kind of attention you need and give it to yourself. That is your first homework. Do you need people to call you up, for instance, if they're going to be late? Tell them before. I really like when I have an appointment and you're going to be late. Call me and tell me, because otherwise I'm worrying and I don't feel good. Or if somebody isn't paying attention to you and you know they're not listening, say, "Did you hear what I just said? Are you listening to me?" We have got to speak up, because if we're not getting our needs met, we're not happy campers. So the answer is yes. His niece has written a book talking about it. The people who supported him in the beginning of his tenure are now talking about how he really is. It's the saddest thing, because our country is not what it used to be. And every other country in the world is seeing that played out. And I'm not telling you anything you don't know. He lies all the time, so we can't trust his what he's saying. Um, I don't want to go into it anymore because it makes me crazy.
Yeah, I don't want to make you crazy. So let me ask you something. When you go into a company and you're working with CEOs, how do you explain what they can do differently in a company to make their employees more effective?
Well, I must be doing something right because I get wonderful testimonials. They even go home, the CEOs have said this, and start talking to their adult children differently, and their relationships with their kids are changing. And I was in a ladies' room in Arizona where I was the keynote speaker, and then I gave two workshops. And she came out while I was just going, and she said, "Alice, I got to tell you something. I've learned more from you in your three presentations than I've learned in 3 years of therapy, because I bottom line it, and I've chosen to remain a layperson because I want people to know what I'm talking about. I have listened. I could have. I've got enough information to have a PhD in whatever communications. But
Mhm.
I listen to people speak. They don't talk from their heart. They're talking. They got papers all over the place. I talk from my heart because it changed my life, and my son told me I saved his life, and he'd like to do my work. So it's so heartfelt. And I got to tell you something else. In my family, they were good people. They just didn't get what they needed. My father was a very prominent physician. My mother was a teacher and a concert pianist, and they were both, what's the word I'm gonna, dysfunctional, but high functioning dysfunctionals. And I was their only daughter. And I learned recently that I am a replacement child. I did not know that. But a replacement child has to be perfect so nothing happens to them. I didn't know any of this. A friend of mine I was born in Detroit, and she came to have dinner with me, and we were talking about all these things, and she said, "Alice, do you know that you're a replacement child?" I said, "No, I didn't know that, Annie." And then we talked about that. And that's why I say that my career started before I was born. And I would really be dead if I had found what I work on and bring to other people. Let me tell you, I gave a workshop at Berkeley, in Berkeley, California, to the risk managers who were insurance people, but they were involved in risk management. And I talked about the attention factor for a half an hour. And then I walked up the stairs because I was leaving, and a woman walked up the other stairs because she wanted to get to the top of where I was leaving from. And the first thing she said to me, "Alice, I can't believe what I heard. Now I know why my 16-year-old doesn't ever want to talk to me again." She said, because she's not getting heard.
Mhm.
She said, this is what I see in front of my, whatever you call it, podium all day long. People who don't get the attention they need in work, and they have nobody listens to them. And so they finally get so disturbed and frustrated, even if they like their jobs. They cause a workers' comp case to be heard. Costs thousands of dollars. So this is the story she heard. She told me one person whose English was his second language was in front of her podium, and she says, "Did you like your job?" And he says, "I love my job, but they would never listen to me."
Hmm.
Would you go back to do the job if they listened to? Yes, I would love to go back, but they gotta listen to me. That's what she hears. And I've been on the front page of a wonderful magazine called Bottom Line Personal. It has experts who talk about these things. And I talked about complaining because that's another way to get attention. You get
Whining. I call it whining.
the same thing. You get on a plane and immediately the whining
Yes.
shows.
Whining begins.
Anyway, what she said to me was, "Your insights are absolutely lethal." She said, "I've never heard anything like this. I'm going to remember everything you said, and I'm going to start using your work."
There we go.
So there we go.
Exactly what people need is your work. They absolutely need your work, Alice. And so tell us, our time is running very short now, and you've given us so much really wonderful information. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for the information you have given us. Tell us, do you have something special for the audience today?
I do. I would like to, if they'll send me their address to the website.
Mm-hmm.
I'll send them 3 poems I've written.
Awesome.
And yeah, they are, because I put them away for a while and then I brought them back and I'm impressed. I can't help it.
I love it.
When I got the award that you've also gotten from the International Association of Top
Professionals.
I got it for my hosting my radio show.
Yes, I had that up. Mm-hmm.
And I said to them, I didn't answer their call. They started on me in March. I didn't know these people. And finally, she got a hold of me in May, or just a while ago. And I was so impressed. I couldn't help it. I realized I've done all this. But when you see it on a piece of paper under your name, but I've had trouble because I grew up in the generation where we didn't learn how to make money. And I was from a family that didn't want me to learn how to make money because they needed me.
Mm-hmm.
And if I wasn't around, I was very important to the family. So did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did. And I just want to thank you so much for being on the show today. Did that time go fast or what? So I'm sorry we have to cut away. And thank you for being with me. I really appreciate your time today. And Alice is all the way in New York. So I have so many people I'm connected to in the East Coast, and it's all because we can do it virtually. So thank you, Alice, for being with me today.
Thank you for inviting me. It was a pleasure.
So everybody, I just want to say thank you to you too for showing up every week. I love that attention that you give me. So please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'd really, really appreciate it. And that really helps us grow. I'd really appreciate your support. And I agree with Alice. I tell all of my clients that we need 3 things in our life, and that is to be seen, heard, and respected. So think about that as you move through your day and you connect with family members and friends and coworkers. Make sure that they are seen, heard, and respected. So I will see you next Wednesday. Thanks so much again for being with me. And don't forget to sign up for the channel. And I will see you next Wednesday.